Welcome back to another video of me and my many creative projects. Today's video is a very exciting one. It's this crochet sweater that I made. I got so much positive feedback on it. The granny square I used is a widely known one, and this is just my personal take on how I made it and used it for this particular top. This granny square is often referred to as a sunflower granny square, and sometimes maybe a bit mistakenly as a sunburst granny square. Either way, I'll be sharing the exact diagram I used for this sweater in the bio of this video and also throughout the tutorial itself. I'll also include links to any other creator's video that demonstrates some of the techniques I've used, just in case anything I show isn't 100% clear. I'm not a professional crochet artist. I was simply asked to share how I made this sweater, so this is my attempt to walk you through it. I also believe this isn't necessarily the right way to crochet, it's just the way that I personally do things. If you know a better way to do something, absolutely go for it and make it your own. If anything is unclear, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try my best to answer. Finally, you might hear me misname a stitch or search for my words occasionally, but I think overall the instructions will be simple enough to follow, as I consider this to be a relatively easy project. In this project, you're going to need a 4.5mm hook, a tapestry needle, I like these little metal ones, some scissors, and this is optional, a felting needle. I do find that this is useful, especially for this kind of project where you have many ends to weave in and you don't want them to poke out at the end. As for the yarn I'm using, it's called Fluffy Day. It's 100% premium brush acrylic. It's from Hobby. I used at least 2 balls of this darkest color, the number 16. I used at least 1 ball of this number 14. I also used at least 1 ball of this color 13, and I did not use a whole ball of this color 12. You can also cake them up if that's something that you will find helpful, but you don't have to. All right, let's get started. We're going to start off with the color 12. We're going to start with a magic ring. Now, a magic ring is incredibly simple. I'm going to show you guys how I make them. You want to take your yarn. This is where the tail is. You're going to take your yarn, you're going to wrap it around your fingers, and you want to create an X shape right here, okay? So see how the yarn goes over? You're going to take your hook, bring it under, and you're going to go get your yarn, pick it up. Now notice here, I'm going to take the yarn and pull it through. All right. And now you have a magic ring. If you tighten the tail, your magic ring will tighten. Let me show you again. Your tail, right here like this. You want to wrap it around your fingers, create an X, and go under this yarn right here, pull, and then you want to go back and pick it, bring it through. Voila. That's how you do a magic ring. Now, you're going to start off with chain 2 after that magic ring, so it's kind of like you have a chain 3 here. Notice, here it is, okay? You're going to yarn over, and you're going to go into the magic ring, pick up your yarn, bring it back, pull through 2, take your yarn again, pull through 2. So that was a double crochet. You're going to repeat that until you have 11 double crochets, and with your starting chain 3, that's going to make a total of 12, okay? I'm going to do it again. Yarn over, go through your magic ring, take your yarn, pull through 2, pull through 2 more. Okay, so now you see 1, 2, 3. You want a total of 12, so you're going to do that again. Go a little faster. Pull through 2, pull through 2. See? And while I'm doing this, notice how I'm taking the tail here and I'm holding it in this other hand. So that way the magic ring is always easily accessible, just like that. Go through 2. Go through 2. Again, going through like this, go through 2, go through 2. And notice if I pull on my tail is right here, it will tighten a little bit the circle. See? I'm going to do this until I finish all 12 or 11 double crochets. Now if you lose count, simply count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so now I'm just going to take this tail again, and I'm going to pull on it. Now, depending on your type of yarn, you want to be a little careful with this because you might snap your yarn. But in my case, this is pretty sturdy yarn, so I can pull as hard as I want. And see, the magic ring has tightened. And now you have a perfectly tight center for your flower. Now, to close this, what I like to do, because I'm never quite sure where to put in my stitch to close this circle. So what I like to do is I like to go back to the other two. So notice, I'm going to pull this so it's easier to point. This one right here, to hold this double crochet, goes into here. I'm going to go back. This one goes into here. So if I want to attach this to this one, I'm not going to go into this one. I'm going to go into that one. Voila. But now, of course, I should probably put my hook back. So, in you go. And then you just pull through, so you have the center of your flower. You're gonna cut this off. Keep a nice long tail, pull through, and voila, here's the center of your flower. Here's what the back looks like. Don't worry about weaving this in for now. I like to weave in as I go, and for this center one right here, I'm going to weave it in at the end. All right, let's get on to the next part. For the petals of my flowers, I use number 13. I like to weave in as I go. So what I mean by that is I'm going to start right before where my knot is. So I'm not going to start after, I'm going to start before. I'm going to go into this V shape right here, unlike going through here. So there's a difference in my mind. Here is like a huge space. I don't want that. I want to go only in the V shape. So you can kind of see here, this is where I want to go. Now I take my yarn again, I'm going to pick it up, pull through, and now I'm going to chain 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I make sure to hold on to this tail right here, and I'm also going to hold on to the tail from the center of the granny square. I'm going to yarn over twice on my hook. I'm going to enter where I initially put in my stitch, pick up the yarn, pull through twice, pull through twice. Okay, so now notice how I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to do that again. 1, 2, into the same space, again holding all my tails. I'm going to pull through the yarn, pull through twice, pull through twice. Now see here, I've got 1, 2, 3 stitches on my hook. I'm going to take my yarn and pull through all 3 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to chain twice. 1, 2. Now, the other ones are going to be very similar, except instead of having that first chain 4, I'm going to have all those treble crochets, which is what they're called. Yarn over twice, and I'm going to go into here. This is a little confusing, but this is where the knot is, so I'm just going to go into this V shape right here. I hope you can see where I'm talking about. Make sure that this is going to be encased in all the work I'm going to do. I'm going to pull through twice and then twice more. Repeat, 1, 2, enter that same space, pull through twice, pull through twice. And I'm going to do that one more time. Oops. Going into that space, making sure the tails are going to be encased into the work I'm doing. Bring it back, pull through 2, pull through 2. And now see, I have 1, 2, 3 treble crochets. I'm going to take my yarn, pull it through all 3, plus that last chain from the previous work, and then chain 2. So now you've got 2 petals. I'm going to do that again into that V. One, two, three. Pull through all, chain 2. I'm going to go faster now. All right, so here's what it's looking like. I want to show you the back, because notice how this is getting weaved in as we go. So we started here and now it's getting worked as we go. It's getting weaved in. That's what I'm talking about. Now, some people don't like this because they think it's not a very sturdy method that will stay in place on the long haul, but I'm going to show you a technique later on that will actually make these permanently encased in here, and they're not going anywhere. First off, let's finish this round. All right, when you're nearing the end, don't forget to count to make sure you have the right amount of petals. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm missing 1. Chain 2, and now to close this circle, or to close this round, again, I'm never quite sure where to place my final stitch, so what I do is I look at the previous ones. So if I look at this one, it's on this long one that this comes into. So it goes into here, like this. So I'm going to find the long one right here. You can see this right here. I'm going to pull through, chain 1, cut, pull through, and voila, all the petals are done. Now if you look in the back, you can see here that I have all these little tails that have been weaved in as you go all around here. So they're encased securely. Now, of course, depending on the type of yarn you have, they might slide around. I will show you once I weave in my ends how I make sure that this will never unweave itself. I'm not going to cut them off now because I want to remember where they are. And if I cut them, then I'm not quite sure where the end is. So let's go on to the next part. All right, now we're at the framing stage of the granny square. So we have a circle here and we're gonna turn it into a square. To do that, I used two colors. So I used this number here, 14, and I used this number 16. So here we have them here. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm gonna go ahead and use number 14 here, but in this granny square that you can see a tiny bit of in the corner here, this is number 16. All right, so again, picking this up and going here, notice how the tail from the work we've just finished is here. I'm gonna make sure that it gets encased as I work on this project. I'm gonna take the yarn here. There you go. All right, so I pull it through and then I'm gonna chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now I know that this is just kind of flying around, but that's okay. It'll get encased in the work as I go. So after chaining 3, I'm gonna yarn over once, go into that same chain space, pull through 2, pull through 2, and that's a double crochet. I'm gonna do that again. Pull through 2, pull through 2. That was a little fast, wasn't it? Let's try again and show you slower. So I'm gonna chain 2 exceptionally because this will be a corner of the granny square. Now I'm gonna yarn over, go into that same chain space from earlier, pull my yarn through, and then pull through 2 and pull through 2. So that was a double crochet. Yarn over, go into that same space again, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. One last time, yarn over, go into that same spot, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now, this is what it's looking like. This will become the corner of your granny square. Now for this round to create the square shape of the granny square, you're gonna have 3 double crochets into the next 2 chain spaces. All right, so I'm gonna show you, yarn over, enter this part right here. All right, this right here. And a double crochet. Do it again. And another double crochet. So once you have those 3 double crochets here, you're going to go to the next spot. Don't do chain 2 in that place because that's just for corners. Yarn over, go into the same next chain space, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet. So see, you have a corner right here, you have 3 double crochets and 3 other double crochets. Now in the next spot, you're going to do the same thing you did the first time. So you're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. I'll show you what that looks like. Yarn over, enter that next chain space, double crochet once, double crochet twice, double crochet a third time. You're going to chain twice and repeat, double crochet, double crochet, and double crochet. Now, I made a small mistake in my granny square. I did not weave in as I go. That just means that I'm going to have to do it at a later time with my tapestry needle. It's not a big deal. If you make the same mistake I did, you're just going to have to do it at a later time. It's totally fine. I'm going to proceed with my 3 double crochets in the next 2 chain spaces. So yarn over, double crochet, double crochet, double crochet, yarn over into the next chain space, double crochet, double crochet, whoops, don't split your yarn, double crochet. And now see, I'm at the next corner. So I have this corner here, those 2 spots are for 3 double crochets, and now this is another corner. All right, so now we've got 4 corners, and I've just finished my last 3 double crochets. And again, just to try and figure out where this is going to go, I'm going to look at how these are assembled. So notice here how this enters this one, which means that logically speaking, this first chain 3 enters this one. So if I want this one to connect to that one, I'm going to go into this right here. Now, is this the right way to do things? I have no idea. This is just how I do it. If you guys have a better technique, please, by all means, go ahead with your own technique. So I'm just going to pull through, chain 1, and that's what this round looks like. Now I'm not going to cut this off. You can, and you can add another color if you want, but I want this round to be the same color. After chaining 1, I'm going to chain twice, 2 more times. So I have chain 3 here. I'm going to yarn over, go into the next V right here, pull my yarn through, pull through twice, pull through twice. So that's a double crochet right here. I'm going to repeat this because I want a fuller granny square all the way around. So here again to show you, yarn over, go into the next V right here, pull through, yarn over, pull through twice, pull through twice. So that's another double crochet. I'm going to do that one more time into the corner of that granny square where we have previously added a chain 2. So yarn over, go into this space, pull your yarn through, pull through 2, pull through 2. Now I'm going to chain 2, so that again creates the corner. Yarn over, go into that same chain space, that corner, pull through 2, pull through 2, and now yarn over and find that first right here. See that first V from the next side of the square, if you will. And I'm going to enter through here, pull through, and I'm going to do that all the way around. So it's just a bunch of double crochets, just like that. Now, if I want to show you what this looks like, notice how this is the corner from earlier, and now the corner is here. Voila. I'm going to keep going. Okay, so here's a good example, I think, of where you see where I'm putting in my hook. So I'm not going through this space right here. I'm actually leaving a little bit of yarn here, and I'm going through the hole here. So I only have the V's on top. I don't have all of this. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Pull through, double crochet. By working this way, I feel like the granny square in the end is just this tiny little bit fuller. I like my granny squares to be a little fuller. If I were to put this stitch here instead of here, this would be picked up, and I feel like this hole would be a little bigger. Whereas by putting it through here, this comes and fills in that gap a little bit. It's just a personal preference, so whatever you guys are into, you can stick your stitch wherever you want. It's not going to make that much of a difference. It's just how I like to do it. So again here, see, I'm going through this part right here where the V is, not through here between those two stitches. Here you can see it way better. So where am I going? Am I going there? No, I'm going there. All right, so I'm nearing the next corner with all my double crochets. I'm going to go into that corner where the chain 2 space is. Chain 1, double crochet once, I mean. Chain 2, and then double crochet again in that same space. All right, now if we count all of these on that side, we have 1 in the corner, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 in that other corner. So 14 double crochets. I'm going to do that for the 3 other sides. All right, so see here, let's just count to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. That is my starting chain 3. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I'm missing one that goes right here, which is perfect. All right, and again, just because I'm never sure where this goes, I'm gonna go look at the previous stitches. So this one enters right here for the next one, enters right here for the next one. So I'm gonna enter right here for this one. Just like that. Pull through 2, chain 1, cut, pull, and voila. Ta-da! This is what your granny square looks like. All right, so next up, I'm gonna show you how to weave in all these ends. So to weave in the ends, of course, you're gonna need a tapestry needle. Let's just start off with this right here. I'm gonna roll my yarn between my fingers. I have very moist hands, so this helps immensely. It just helps everything stick together a little better, and then it's just easier to, voila, push through your tapestry needle. I'm gonna bring this nice and close so you can see what I'm doing. So this tail was going like this in here. So I'm just gonna keep that, and I'm gonna go through some of the yarn. So I'm just gonna slip through this part right here and then enter through here. Of course, I'm being careful not going through to the other side because that's the front. We want the front to be nice and clean. So we're just gonna push through here, pull this just like that. Same goes right here. And notice again, I'm just gonna go through this yarn just like that. I do this 3 to 4 times for the center specifically, just like that. Now, to me, this is weaved in enough. You can do it some more if you want to, you don't have to, that's just a personal preference. I'm now gonna cut this tail right down here. All right, I'm gonna put my thumb so I know exactly where that is. And now this is where the felting needle comes in. I'm gonna take my block here, I'm gonna place this here. I'm gonna remember that this is where I need to felt it, all right? So I have these felting needles. Again, this is optional, you don't have to do this. I just find that it keeps the end project from unraveling itself, but maybe it's just in my head, who knows? What I've done for this project that I find worked is I use my felting needle and I struck the middle where that tail was, around like maybe 10 times-ish. You can do it the same on the other side. See how right here, these right here, are pulled through. So you want to be careful, you don't want to do it too much. Just a little bit, just to create some knots, some felting in your yarn. I just find that it helps it from unraveling. Something else I did for these is I went in the center and pushed it through, just so the center was a little more defined. Don't have to be too precise with this, just a little bit, just like that, and it helps things from unraveling, I find. Now remember these right here, these have been weaved in all the way around here, so I can cut these out, just like that. I'm gonna put my thumb so I remember where the recently cut ends are, and I'm gonna prick it in place. Boop, boop, boop. Gonna do the same thing on the other side again. Just a little. You don't want to do it too much because it will affect the end result of your granny square if you do it too much. But I do it just a little, and I find that it helps immensely. Awesome. Let's do it. For these here, the thing is, remember, I forgot to weave these in, so I'm gonna quickly use my tapestry needle and weave these in. There you go. And now I'm already at a corner, so this is nice. I'm just gonna go through this yarn right here, this yarn right here. I'm gonna try and go through the yarn. Nice and gentle. You don't want to pull too hard and mess up the tension of your recently finished granny square. Just nice and gentle. Just like that. And again, be careful. You don't want it to poke through the front. Keep it in the back. Pull through gently. And voila. So now, I feel like these are good to go. I'm just going to snip this off. Use my felting needle. Poke, poke, poke. And poke some more in the front. Awesome. Last but not least is this one right here. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so here's a perfect example of what I was talking about. When you are weaving in your ends, you don't want to pull too much because see, it's pulling all of this. You want to keep it nice and even, all right? So I'm going to go through here, go back this way, just like that, and go through here one last time. Voila. Cut this off. Poke it just a little, and then more on the other side. And voila, you have a nice and finished granny square. Once you've finished with your granny squares, you want to assemble them together. So this is what it looks like when it's been blocked, by the way. It just has a little bit more of a square shape. And this one has been not blocked. It hasn't been blocked yet because I haven't, the time. I'm gonna take my hook again, and you're gonna take the color that you want to assemble your granny squares. Now, the way that I assembled my granny squares, you can kind of see right here, it creates like a chain effect all the way across. So you will see this color. Now, there are other techniques. You can do the invisible join. That's another one that I really enjoy. But for this specific project, I went with this technique. So for the slip knot, super simple. You'll see you have a tail on one side. You're just gonna create a U shape. Turn it around, okay? So see how now there's an X here? I'm just gonna make sure that I have space for my thumb in here, and I'm gonna go get this right here. And then when you pull, it creates a slip knot. I'm gonna show you again without these under here because it's a little hard to see what I'm doing. So for a slip knot, again, here's the tail, here's the rest. I'm gonna do a U shape like that, turn it around, make sure you can enter your thumb in there, and go get this side, just like that. And then when you tighten it, it makes a slip knot. Perfect. So if I bring these back here, so for this technique to join the granny squares together, what I did is I found the corner, and see how the corner has a V shape? There's all these V's. So I'm gonna go on to the stitch right here that is on the outside. I'm going to do the same thing for here, just like that. So now you can see I've got one half of the V, one half of the other V. I'm going to take my yarn with my slip knot and make sure I'm not holding on to the tail, but holding on to the work. Make sure this is nice and tight. I'm gonna pull through those two, okay? I'm gonna repeat this all the way down. So the next V is this one right here. So I'm gonna enter through this one, enter through this V right here. I'm gonna take the work and pull through those two and pull through the one I had on my hook. All right, so the next V is this one right here. Same goes for this one right here is the next one. I'm gonna pick up the work, pull through those two V's and pull through what was on my hook. Now, it's so hard to show you guys. I'm sorry if this is not clear. Remember that for everything I'm showing you guys, I'm also linking videos in the bio of the video so you can find other more talented creators who are showing you what I'm trying to show you, because I'm far from the best. I'm just trying to share what I've done, but I'm no professional. So I'm just gonna keep going like that all the way down those squares. just like that. Oh, all right. Pull through a bit of yarn, that's fine. Like this, like this. Pull through everything into the next, into the next. All right, so it's a little easier to see what I've been doing now. See, it's creating this right here. Let's keep going. Awesome. So I've gone all the way through. You can see the tail from this right here, just like that. And now here, to close this off, I'm going to chain once, cut this off, and I would weave these two ends in once I'm done. But this is what it should look like. All right, so these have now been assembled. So I'm going to show you how to create the edges now. Great, so I've brought you in closer. I'm just going to move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to create a slip knot. Again, I've shown you how to do this. And now you want to create the chains that will define the width of the edge. All right, so in my case, I've just made 7 chains here, and I'm going to chain 2 more, yarn over, go into the last chain of those chain 7s, pull through, and now this is a half double crochet, so I'm going to pull through everything. Repeat through the end of this. Yarn over, enter, pull through all 3 that was on your hook. Yarn over, go in, 1, 2, 3, just like that, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and last but not least, this one right here, 1, 2, 3. So this is a row, not a round, a row of half double crochets. Chain 2, turn your work, and you're going to do the same thing with a back loop only. All right, so what is the back loop? The back loop, when you look at this work right here, you can see the V shapes that you find in crochet. So this is the front loop, and this is the back loop. So you're going to yarn over, you're going to go through the back loop, not the front loop, the back loop. Pull through, yarn over, go into the next one, back loop. Again, back loop, half double crochet, back loop, half double crochet, yarn over, back loop, half double crochet, yarn over, back loop, half double crochet. I think the right order to say this out loud would be yarn over and half double crochet in the back loop only, but in my brain this is how I say it, so this is how you're hearing it. So now that I'm at the end, I'm gonna chain 2, turn the work, and do the same thing again. Now, previously this one was the back loop, but no, this is the back loop, okay? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Chain 2, turn your work. So again, the one next to your major finger will be the back loop. And you want to do half double crochets all the way across in the back loop. Alright, so here's a look at what the edge is going to look like. This is going to be the width, and then you want to make it as long as you want. My suggestion is you want this size to be the size of your body. You don't want it to be too big, you don't want it to be smaller. You want this to fit your body. So I would measure the waist of my body. Let's say it was, I'm going to say a random number here, 30 inches. Well, you're going to want this part, the length, to be 30 inches, maybe even 29. What you want to create is a bit of a cinched situation. I'll be right back once this is done. Alright, so I've just finished the edge. I'm going to take my scissors. I chained 1 here at the corner, so I'm going to cut this and pulling through. So now let's pretend this is the desired length for the circumference of your body, okay? The whole point for your sweater to be nice and comfortable and a little bit oversized, but not too much. Basically, you want it to be bigger than you, and you want this to come cinch everything in. So it should, logically speaking, be a little smaller than the edge that will go around your body. So for example, this one is a little smaller than this one. But now you might ask yourself, how am I supposed to assemble these? Well, you can use whatever stitch markers you have. It can be bobby pins. I have this nifty little kit here, so I'm just gonna take some from here. I don't recommend these because they're gonna slide out, but these are great. Anything that will pin into place, okay? You're gonna take a corner of the edge that you want to put in place, and you're going to come tie it to the corner of your work. It's okay if it's not perfect. You're going to do this where you want it to land on the other side. Just like that. And now you're going to find the center of this here, the center of that here, and that's where you're going to put your next stitch marker or bobby pin or whatever you have that will indicate where to place things. So for me, what I like to do is I like to bring this together. These go here. Now this is easy because it's 2 squares that are the same size, so I already know this is the center, but the center of this one is right here. So I'm just gonna pinch this, find the center here, find the center there. And if I bring it back, see, it's all coming together. I'm going to do this again to show you. So if you bring these stitch markers together, you find that the center is right here, and now the center right here, like this, is here. So these are going to be stitched marked together, just like that. Doesn't need to be perfect or anything. It's just to help you, guide you when you're going to assemble this together. Let's place another one right here. Bringing this together, I know this is the center, and now bringing these together, here's the center of this part right here. And voila. So this is especially important for something like the sleeve. Notice here how nice and puffy it is, and it's all gathered evenly. So that's how I did this right here. See? Voila. So to assemble everything, I'm going to use a tapestry needle. Just weave it like that. And I'm going to go, let's see how to show you guys. I'm going to find the V shape, just like we did earlier when we assembled this here. But now I'm going to do it this way here. So I'm going over, and I'm going to find this corner stitch right here. Voila. So I'm going to pull it so that it's around double the amount I need. I prefer to have too much of this yarn than not enough. All right, I'm going to go. Now you want to see here, how many stitches do you have here? Too many compared to this one. You're just going to try and squeeze some in. So you're going to skip some sometimes and go into the same one. Oops. So I went into the next one, but this one I'm going to go into the same one. So that way this right here is going to start scrunching up, and this one will lay flat. So I went into this one, I'm going to go into the next one. Just like that. Oops. And I'm going to go into this one now, because visually it just feels like that's where it should land. I'm going to go in the next one. And I'm going to go in that same one. Now here, it's kind of like going upwards, and I don't like that. I don't want the end product to be kind of folded over like this. So I'm going to go here and make sure that this lands nice and flat. And then just like that in this next one, so on and so forth. All right, now these are a bit in the way, so I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to remove the blue one, and I'm going to repeat this process until the green one. So notice how there's more space here and down here. Just like that. I'm going to go through this one right here. now this green one is in the way. I'm gonna get it out of here and make sure that things are nice and even for the blue one, so on and so forth. This is what it's looking like. Might want to pull on this end a little. Voila. Perfect. So now that everything is nice and assembled, what I personally did, because I have a bunch of ends left, is I double knotted them, and I also double knotted the other side, and then I weaved those in. But see, this is how you create a nice even join for the edge and the granny squares. All right, so here we go. This is what we've done here in the tutorial. As you can see, the sleeve is much more gathered, but I used the same technique. So I would use my stitch markers to pinch everything equally, and then after that, I simply use the invisible join, or whatever technique this is called, to join everything together. And here it lays much flatter because I wanted this part to be less puffy. So basically, if you want this section to be puffier, you're going to want more gathers, which means you're going to want more granny squares. And around my body, I didn't want as much space, as much ampleness. Is that the word I'm looking for? Ampleness? Anyway, I didn't want it to be quite as puffy as the sleeves. I wanted the sleeves to be a statement in themselves, which is why it lays a little bit flatter. So if I unfold this, you can see there's still like a tiny bit of gathering. It's not quite the same size, but the edge was a bit smaller. It was the circumference of my body, whereas this was a little bit wider than my body. And this here is way wider than my body, or arm, should I say. And this is my arm size. If I put this in, see, arm size. Not arm size, it's like double. All right, now for the buttons. Initially for the buttons, I wanted them to be way bigger, but I actually decided that this would be a nice size because with the type of edge that I created, I didn't need to create buttonholes. I could simply take my button and push it through any space that is between two half double crochets. Notice how big these spaces are? So it was just a little shortcut for myself to assemble the sweater. That's how I did it. Doesn't fit in a hole, just find one till it fits. Voila. Simple as that. And that way you're skipping a step of creating buttonholes. That was a little too overwhelming for me. See, nobody's perfect. But yeah, and I just made sure that they would fit through the edge. So the edge has no buttonholes because every single hole is a buttonhole. Voila. And to sew it in place, I simply sewed it in place here. And I used the same color that I used for the edge. Quick, simple, easy, 10 out of 10, would recommend to a friend. As for the width of the edges, it's totally a personal taste. I personally enjoyed that this edge and the edge for the sleeves was a little bit wider than the one that goes up and down the sweater. So it's not that big of a difference. It's just a couple stitches. I think it's around 2 or 3 less than these here. So if these were maybe like 11 wide, then this was maybe like 7 or 8, something like that. But go with your personal preference. It'll depend on your yarn and stuff like that. Also, if I pull this down and you look here at the neck area, I didn't do anything special. I did the same technique that I did for the sleeves and for the bottom of the sweater, just like that. I just made sure that it would lay nice and flat. So remember, in crochet, tension is everything, even when assembling your stuff together. So there you go. I hope that helps. I feel like this is going to be very rambly. I'm sorry in advance. I just want to try to answer everyone's questions, you know what I mean? Okay, All right, so I've slipped into the sweater because I have a few things I want to explain to you guys, and I think seeing it on a body will make things easier to understand. First off, everything about sizing. We're all different people with all different sizes, and that's amazing, but it is a little complicated to explain how to make a wearable, all those different sizes. So I'm going to explain to you guys how I adjusted this to my body, and then you guys can apply the same logic to make it fit your body. I started off by making a single granny square. Once you've finished a square, you're going to measure it. I measured my body from this wrist all the way to the other wrist and divided that number by the size of the granny square, and that told me how many granny squares I needed. I'm 5'7"-ish, a little taller than 5'7", and I weigh 140 something pounds. I personally used 68 granny squares. You do have the option of adding granny squares. So instead of having 68, you would have more granny squares so that way it would fit your body. But if you want this exact placement of all the granny squares, but you have a bigger body than mine, then what I would do, if I were in your shoes, is I would add around on my granny squares. So if you look here, this is 1.5 centimeters, and you also have another 1.5 centimeters down here, and on this side here, and on this side here. So if you add another 1.5 centimeters here, 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 it'll mean that your granny square will be 3 centimeters bigger. Or if you want to go by inches, that would be 1 inch bigger per square. I'm so worried I'm losing you guys with these explanations. I'm just trying to say that you can add around of whatever you want, maybe half double crochets or double crochets or treble crochets to make the granny square bigger and still end up with 68 granny squares in your granny square sweater. You're gonna have to do a bit of math. I hope that helps. As for the layout of the granny squares for the granny square sweater, I have 4 by 4 for the sleeves, and then you want to make 2 panels of 2 by 4 for the front. Is that 2 by 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, exactly. And then the back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 5 by 4. It's a little hard to show you, but I do have a few pictures that I took and sent friends while I was working on the sweater, so I hope those help. If you have a better way of doing it, go ahead. You do you. That's just how I did it. Okay, I had a bunch of questions regarding blocking. So basically blocking is stretching the yarn after it's been wet or steamed into a certain shape, and that way once it's dry, it's gonna keep that shape. I think that's the plainest way I can explain it. If you use certain types of yarn, it's more recommended than others. So for me, I used acrylic, and it's not super recommended, like it's not super useful because acrylic is basically plastic, and getting it wet and stretching it into place isn't going to do much. I personally find that it helps stretch out your tension evenly throughout your project. So it's not necessarily for the fibers to stretch out, it's more for the knots of the crochet to stretch out. So it just makes it drape a little nicer. That's the best way I think I can explain it. The reason that I put it in water instead of steaming it, because I have seen people steam it, is simply because I don't have a steamer. So I have an iron, and I would be way too scared of ruining my project by accidentally touching it with a hot iron and melting the fibers. So that is why I did not steam it and I got it wet instead. Something else I wanted to mention is that it can be overwhelming to make 68 of anything. So the way that I personally made 68 granny squares without getting overwhelmed and without giving up is by going one step at a time. What I mean by that is instead of completing all the granny squares one after the other, I made all the centers, then I made all the petals. By doing it this way, I just feel like it was better to not get overwhelmed by feeling like there's like a continuous feeling of completing the project, but then it's not completed because you have to make another granny square and another granny square. In my brain, it just worked better that way. So that is a tip I have for you guys. Make one granny square just to figure out the sizing, and then after that, do all of them in a chain? Is that how you call that? In a chain method? In a line? I'll have to Google it. Anyway, you guys can do whatever you want. That's just how I work and my brain works, and I figured I would let you guys know. I have a friend who did this similar project and she got overwhelmed and she was doing all the granny squares completely one after the other. And she would always have to go back and like remember like, oh, how do I do the center again? How do I do the third round again? Whereas I didn't have to go back and forth because I would do all the centers. And then once that was done, I didn't have to remember that part because I was at the petal. And then I would do all the petals. And then once that was done, I could forget that part because I didn't have to do them anymore. And so on and so forth. Anyway, I hope that helps. Congrats on making it all the way to the end of the video. If you have any additional questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Also, if you recreate this sweater, please tag me on your social media. I'm dying to see your finished projects. And lastly, if you're not subscribed yet, I'd love for you to join this growing community as I plan on posting more content about my latest creative projects. On that note, thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye!